Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rifter number 2, our first dive into the table of contents for our second segment is going to be Wormwood, the OCC of the Blood Shaman. Now, is this an official OCC? Well, it was in the Rifter, so I guess kinda. And if you think, wow, the Blood Shaman, that sounds really grave. We're kind of grim, right? Yeah. Yeah, it is.
We welcome all people, regardless of background, belief, or identity, to play tabletop role-playing games. Let's engage our imaginations, pull a veil over reality, and immerse ourselves in fantastic worlds. Don't be a disruption at the table, and always remember, it's just a game. The charity we support is the Wounded Warrior Project, a national, non-partisan organization whose mission is to honor and empower wounded warriors. Please refer to the description below for the link to where you can make your hopefully tax-deductible donation. Join us Thursday and Saturday evenings on twitch.tv/legionofmyth to watch Heathen Dog and his team of dirty casuals play multiplayer games for your mockery and enjoyment. Here on our YouTube channel, you can watch these game-related segments live every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time, or check out the Friday night stream where our panel of guests opine, comment, and editorialize on the TTRPG hobby as a whole. Please leave us a comment with your thoughts and experiences. If you enjoy our gaming content, please be sure to subscribe to Legion of Myth.
Okay, here we are.
I had to play the soft music because we're about to get in it.
Because this is going to be triggering for some people, and if you're that person, I need you to leave because I don't want to deal with.
Well, before you leave, can you just keep playing and just walk out of the room and give us a watch time and subscribe?
But, keep the video going. All right. Note, the Blood Shaman O.C.C. was originally designed with the Wormwood setting in mind, but is easily adaptable to any of Palladium's games, particularly the Palladium Fantasy RPG.
Ooh.
For SDC settings, simply convert any mention of MDC straight to SDC. That is the quick and dirty way. If you can go back to the conversion book and get the longer but more appropriate way, I think that would be a better idea, especially if you're a game master wanting to introduce this.
Is this before the conversion books?
No, the conversion book came first.
Oh, okay.
Brought out by a necessity for spellcasters who could perform powerful magic without the need for ley lines. Remember, Wormwood is devoid of any ley lines and nexus points. Now, the thing here, not having ley lines and nexus points doesn't mean you can't, people can't cast spells. There's still PPE all around. I mean, in you, all around. It's a magic area. It's an MDC environment, right? So it's high magic, but a lot of spells, the higher level spells, require hundreds or perhaps thousands of PPE to initiate. And usually a high-level spellcaster will park himself on a nexus during midnight or a solar eclipse or whatever to have access to all of that power to cast this one spell. Well, in Wormwood, you don't have that. So they needed another way to increase their ability to get massive amounts of PPE to cast these high-level spells.
By the way, if you want to know more about Wormwood, Heathen Dog's got 3 videos out there on you covered it November 2023. I was like, I know he covered it, so I just looked Wormwood background information, Wormwood adventure ideas, and Wormwood new OCCs and RCCs. That sounds exactly like what you do too.
Sounds exactly like what I'm talking about, and I just brain farted it. Okay.
But
these men were despicable and vile and driven insane by the more demanding their self-mutilations became as they grew more powerful. Oh my God, that is a bad opening for that. You don't want to be this guy, but hey, if you like power. Over the millennia since their inception, the Blood Shamans have become respected and revered among the forces of the unholy and feared by their enemies. Few are those who can witness the evil of blood magic being cast and not feel the horror of it. Even those of evil alignment are often disgusted. Without the magic of a world to draw upon, the Blood Shaman has had to turn his focus inward, drawing the energy from himself through self-wounding to draw blood. This hideous and evil form of magic is relatively recent discovery upon Wormwood, only the last 30 years or so, so there are very few practitioners of it at this time. However, the unholy's interest and faith in these spellcasters is increasing almost daily. So more and more followers of darkness are choosing to walk down this path. It should be noted that blood shamans are not limited to just Wormwood. This OCC and magic type has been developed on many worlds and have the cosmic misfortune of lacking ley lines, as well as in cultures where ritual sacrifice is a way of life. If you can look in the past, Aztec and all kinds of stuff, they had ritual sacrifice all the time. Sacrifice animals, children, people, whatever. And everyone knows when something dies, it releases all of its PPE at once and it's doubled. So if you're willing to kill your neighbor, you can cast a pretty damn big spell with that. Upon Wormwood, the blood shaman are often used by the dark priests as trusted agents, lieutenants, and covert agents. An experienced blood shaman is anything but covert. I'll show you I'll show you that picture in a second. As often as not, however, the blood shaman's manias and lust for power cause him to attempt to carry out his own agendas, causing many to despise the dark priests and in turn be despised themselves. So before we get into what they can do, let's take a little second to show a picture of what they are. This is an experienced blood shaman. Scar. Ooh, lost an eye. Scar. Open heart transplant. I don't know. Scar, active bleeding right here. And how many scars are under here? I don't know. But
I don't mind the scars. It's the eye makeup that's got me.
After a while, of cutting yourself, you just turn emo, right?
That's fair. So here's the, Heathen Dog gets a lot of crap because of the coalition stuff, and a lot of people don't understand that's partially an act with the coalition stuff. Because we got some comments last week going off on Heathen Dog about the coalition and how we must be bad people in real life over that. Well, this is always something I for years played necromancers in Dungeons and Dragons. My favorite discipline in Earth Dawn is what?
Oh, the Nethermancer.
The Nethermancer. I love playing the creepy. I like the Nethermancer actually more than the Necromancers because it actually has a good side to it. Right. But so this is speaking to me so far. Yeah, the vileness I get, and if it's too vile, I don't want to be part of it because I kind of want to be a good character. But this is, at least as of right now, this is kind of speaking to me. I like this kind of creepy crap. What? I got to cut you a couple times. You'll be okay. You'll heal.
You got to cut yourself more than a couple times, but we will get into that right now because we're going to go into the initial spell knowledge and learning new spells. The blood shaman's spell knowledge comes from within himself and is learned and understood intuitively. So think of like Mystic or whatever. Thus, the character cannot be taught new spells by other magic users from scrolls or whatever. At first level, select a total of 6 spells from those that are available to the blood shaman levels 1 through 4. From that point on, the character selects 2 spells per level earned from spell levels no greater than his current level of experience. Then we go to number 2, which is up here. Sense psychic and magic energy. This power is the same power as the Psystalker, only their percentages are as follows. Recognize a specific psychic scent, 10%. Track continuous energy expenditure, 40%. All ranges are half that of the Psystalker. So you're like a Psystalker light. Why? Because you are drawn to beings with large amounts of PPE to cut them and drain them of that beautiful, beautiful resource.
PPE.
Exactly. So now we'll go over here to number
Borg
3.
Baby.
Blood ceremony. Let's have some fun. Here's where it gets weird. This is the process by which the blood shaman casts his spells. It is unique among those who follow the ways of mysticism. Unlike other users of magic, the blood shaman must actually cut himself in order to release the PPE required to cast his spells. The size and damage caused by the cut depends upon the spell which he or she desires to cast. All wounds caused in this manner can be healed normally, or by magical means, or by psychic means, or whatever. Sweet. It's not like some kind of thing where you have to heal normally, magic can't do it, or only magic can heal it. No, it's just normal damage. Obviously, the use of blood magic leaves the caster covered in scars. The longer one has been practicing blood magic, the more scarred his body. Also, the PPE of others can be utilized by cutting and bleeding them in sacrifice. This sacrifice can range from a small cut that leaves the donor alive to one which kills the donor. To find out how much PPE is released by the amount of damage caused by the donor, take the being's PPE and divide it by the total of his or her hit points and SDC or MDC. Round the result down. So the conversion isn't great. You lose a little bit. The result is the number of PPE points released from the creature for each point of damage inflicted. Remember, killing the creature causes the release of double its normal PPE. So here's the rub, the way I read this. In a normal spellcaster can actually kill someone and that person will immediately release double their total PPE and you can grab it and use it immediately. But this, if you kill someone, you take the number of points of damage, you multiply that by the fraction between their hit points and their PPE, and then double that. That's what you can get. So it's not going to be the whole enchilada unless you do an exorbitant amount of damage all at once.
So, but if it still kills the target, that would revert back to the normal.
That's not how this reads, though.
That's how I mean, I think that everybody who murders gets all the or double the PPE.
I would say yes, but that's not how it reads. I've read this thing like 8 times, and it reads like it's the, because right here, where is it? Sacrifice to find out how much PPE is released by the amount of damage caused to the donor. Take the being's PPE and divide it. You get that number. The result is the number of PPE points released from the creature for each point of damage inflicted. Remember, killing the creature causes the release of double its normal PPE. Now,
I don't like that
alone. That sentence by itself supports you saying yes, it's normal for everyone else. But all of the sentences before it,
mixed in that paragraph,
it kind of reads differently.
Okay.
So that's something. For example, a being whose SDC is 50 and hit points is 25 has a PPE of 200. For each point of damage caused to this being, 2 PPE is released. Remember to round down. In order for the Blood Shaman to absorb the energy as it is released, he must have total concentration. Once absorbed, the energy must be used within 1 melee or it is lost. However, for every 3 levels of experience after the first, you can store it for an additional melee.
So this isn't really a battery. This is just for empowering things.
Yeah, it's a capacitor.
Okay, yeah.
Note, the following situations affect the amount of PPE that can be drawn from a being, be it a donor or the shaman himself. Ceremony performed within 2 miles of a ley line, if there are ley lines. You get more, 5% more, 10% more if it's on a ley line or within a nexus, 25% more on a nexus, performed at noon or midnight, plus 50%, and so on and so on and so forth. So this is how you get more power. Okay. Heal by blood sharing. Okay. Here's the deal. This is weird, and the Blood Shaman is weird, and I wouldn't allow it in my game because it's just too weak. But this is kind of neat. You can cut yourself, do a prescribed amount of damage because you've been cutting yourself for a while. You know exactly how deep to go, right? So you say you want to heal someone of 10 damage. You cause 10 damage to yourself, expend a certain amount of PPE in your blood, they drink it, and they are healed 10 damage.
Here, drink this. No. I just cut myself for 10 points of damage. You're drinking this.
I am not drinking your blood smoothie, weirdo. No, you are. You are, in fact, doing that. And you can only heal a maximum of 10 hit points or SDC, MDC per single use of this power per level of experience. So level 1 guy can only heal one per. That's fine, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're supposed to come out of here being the healer.
Yeah, but technically you can, even though it's super gross. And number 5, PPE. Like all men of magic, Blood Shaman is a living battery, except your battery sucks. It's 1d6 times 10 plus 20 plus your PE, and you get 3d6 for each additional level of experience. But remember, the Blood Shaman can draw upon PPE of others, but only through drawing their blood, but cannot use the PPE of energy ley lines and nexus points to do as do other spellcasters.
Oh, so you're forced into this.
Yes. But now remember, Wormwood doesn't have these things. So no one could do it
but
anyway.
the thing, remember, it also said exists outside Wormwood. I know mostly on worlds that also. But if you're on Rift's Earth, okay. So real quickly then, on Rift's Earth itself, why would you even want to play? Like up until this paragraph, I was like, okay, yeah, you give or take, take or leave it. After that paragraph, like, no. Like,
no, you wouldn't want this. No. You don't want this because it gets worse. It gets worse. Disadvantages, insanities, and vulnerabilities.
Sweet.
Because all PPE used to cast spells is caused by the spilling of blood, either someone else or your own, you cannot draw PPE from others, ley lines, or nexus points as a regular spellcaster. However, all spell effects, duration, range, etc. are still increased as per normal. Okay, when they say increased as per normal, so far, we haven't seen anything increased, right? No one's talked about increase, but what it means through looking at the forums, looking at the rest of the book, stuff like that. During the week, I did doing research on this. A lot of people take this to say that you have an increased range, duration, and whatever, as if you were on a ley line or maybe even on a nexus point.
That's how I read it.
Yeah. But I wanted to make sure because it's not very clear. But that's how everyone reads this. And so that's how I'm reading it to you. So the benefit of this is you can be considered while casting these spells on a ley line all the time when you're actually not, because of the way you do it. So you get at least a plus 50% bump in damage, range, duration, which can be nice, right? That is a good benefit. I don't think it outweighs especially this other stuff. Also, a person's psyche can only take so much mutilation before it begins to crack. Thus, the character must roll on the random insanity table once each at levels 1, 3, 7, 10, 12, and 15.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Jump between 3 and 7.
A magical crazy.
Yep. But that's a big jump between 3 and 7, though.
It is. It's a 4-level jump. The rest of it is 3, 2, and 3. So between 3 and 7, you get a little bit of a thing, but it's not a lot. Bonuses, +3 to save versus horror factor. Dude, you cut yourself to make things go. Yeah, you're not scared of a lot, right? +2 to save versus magic and +1 to save versus possession, +46 SDC or MDC. Duh, you need it. I get that. Alignment, evil or anarchist only. That makes sense. Racial limitations. Anybody can do it, but it's later on most are humans because we're like that. Attribute requirements, PE of 14, ME of 15. This is understandable. You need a lot of hit points and you need to be strong of focus and character to actually do this to yourself on the daily.
I have one disagreement with the ME and it's very pedantic though. So I get it. So I'm not stressed on this. You kind of already have to be weak-willed in order to want to do this.
Well, I suppose that there's an argument for that. And your OCC skills, lores, your languages, biology, because you got to know where not to cut or where to cut, right? To get more or less blood out. Athletics, web proficiency, guess what? Knife. Yeah.
Well, I just go into the razor blade.
Well, no, it's knife. With one other ancient bladed weapon, again, more bladed weapons, and basic, and you can buy it up by taking out other skills. Related skills, communications, domestic. These are all normal things. Medical, none. Your job is to cut yourself and you can't take first aid. It's like they're stacking the deck against you. Really?
That is the first aid. Like I can understand medical doctor, blah, 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 because that kind of comes with things like do no harm and so forth. But first aid, first aid. I mean, who bandaged him?
Yeah, right. Who bandaged the lady in the picture? No one good, apparently. No one good.
That's why you saw it bleeding through. Okay, makes sense now.
Fair enough. Weapons, 1d4 knives and daggers. No kidding. Silver-plated sword, 1 or 2 weapons of choice. Magic items gets 2 lesser bloodstones. That's a Wormwood thing. 1d4 -1 magic slime ointments. That's to try and keep you alive. Armor, most blood shamans prefer light armors. Because it has more skin exposed.
Chainmail bikini, now you know where it belongs.
Yep. Okay, and then we get into blood magic. I'm not going to read all of them, obviously. I'm going to read through some.
Okay.
But the big thing is here that these are things that only a blood shaman can get. So don't get any ideas. This is the unique form of magic that requires the caster to release the PPE through the drawing of blood, be it his own or another's. Each time the cast performs this act on himself, he takes the damage listed in damage to caster section of the spell. If the spell is cast using blood of another, the damage caused is determined using the method described under the shaman ability blood ceremony. So damage to caster is different than using somebody else. It's not just, oh, well, if it's damage to caster and I'm cutting somebody else, that means it's damage. This is the same damage the person takes. No, you use the blood ceremony power number 3 from the OCC to dictate how much damage they take. Note, those who are not used to seeing the process of a blood shaman cutting himself to release his magical energy must save versus horror factor 8 or be too repulsed to react, as per the normal effects of failing to save. So you lose a round by looking at this guy cutting himself and chanting and smiling and squealing, and you're like, oh, dude, I left all the ovens on. I gotta go. I don't like this place. All right, so we have Blood Bolt. Here's your damage. 2d6 or 1d4 MD per 5 PPE expended. Damage to caster, 1d4 plus 1 per 5 PPE expended. So here you go. You can cut yourself for 1d4 plus 1 damage, and you get 2d6.
I'm checking out right now.
2d6 SDC or 1d4 MD, depending on what environment you're in, damage as a Blood Bolt.
Look, I like the idea of blood magic. I think Earthdawn does it well. And again, here I see how they're trying to do it, and I'm like, okay, this is neat. Not my cup of tea now, especially with the whole ley line thing and so forth. But I get it. But Blood Bolt, that's just dumb. That's just really, really dumb.
I get it. And it gets worse from here. Blood Boil. This one's actually cooler.
Yes.
To use a spell, the victim must be in line of sight and have a cut from which fresh blood can be seen. So you have to cut the victim. The victim must be bleeding.
It's a great interrogation technique. I like this one.
The actual effect of the spell creates a sensation in the victim of intense heat within his body as though his blood were boiling. No actual damage is caused, but it is so painful and distracting the victim automatically loses initiative and is -1 to attack, -2 or -20% to all other actions. Any action that requires intense concentration, such as use psionic powers or spellcasting, requires save versus insanity with a -4 penalty to do so. Okay, so again, good interrogation spell. I like it. We're going to move on to level 2. We're going to go to...
And none of these, as I'm just kind of glancing through them, none of these so far... My deal is I'm spraying blood at you and hurting you. Like that just, I don't know, there's something about that doesn't work, that doesn't fit with me.
I get it. Taint blood. While having no bad side effects upon the target of the spell, any vampire or other creature that drinks of the target's blood will find it toxic.
Ooh.
This is a very, very situational spell, and the duration is 1 melee per level of experience. So it's not like you can set it and forget it and be okay for a day or two. This is basically worthless unless you have an extra action to spare while fighting a vampire. And guess what? You don't.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think this should be something that should last a day or two. Probably cost a lot more PPE, but should last a day or two.
Still,
yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Or at least hours. It should at least last hours.
Yes. Blood armor. Blood which is released from the shaman crawls across his body or that of the recipient and replicates until it appears that the target is completely covered in blood. That's going to look great. This layer of mystic blood offers protection equal to 5 MDC per level of the caster's experience. That is weak as hell. Magic, fire, lightning, and cold do half damage. But the sight of the spell recipient causes horror factor 10 on everyone seeing it for the first time, even on those who are hardened to battle. But still, that level, that is weak. That is weak armor.
In creepy factor, it's neat. It doesn't bother me as much as the blood. Right now, the only spell I don't like is that blood beam or whatever the hell it's called. That was.
I got you.
I mean, it's only a level 3 spell. I mean, can you expect a lot from level 3 spells?
Well, Armor of Ithin is like level 2 or 3, right? I mean, it gives 10 per level.
Okay.
Not 5. And you don't have to cut yourself. This one is good. Carnivorous blood. I like this one. Firstly, in order for the spell to work, target must have an open wound that is bleeding. Fresh wound on the body of your victim. The spell creates the horrible effect of causing the target's blood to start dissolving his insides. Your blood becomes acid that causes 3d10 SDD or MDD per melee action.
Well, whose actions? You as the caster or the...
I looked up this too. It's the recipient's actions.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
No. It's not lame, because some people were like on the forums, like, well, what if I just forego all my actions? I don't take any damage. No, at the end of the round, all actions are considered expended.
Yeah. No, I get that. It just seems weird that because you aren't as good of a fighter, so you only have hand-to-hand basic or hand-to-hand none, get 2 actions per round, versus the guy who's like the ninja with 7 actions, that he takes more damage than you. That just seems...
Yes. You know why? Because this is blood magic. You are sacrificing your own blood to do this to him, and in every other spells that we've done have been either meh or sucked. This is the first good one we found.
That's fair. Okay, in that context, it's fair. I just think it should be to the caster himself. That's just my...
The caster takes 3d8 plus 8 damage just by casting this spell.
That sucks.
There's that, right?
You're bleeding a lot to make that happen.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I mean, you're in a fight with a ninja and you're purposely hurting yourself. That is not conducive to winning the
character
fight.
gets how many extra SDC? 46. So that's between 4 and 24. 3d8 alone is between 3 and what? 24 plus 8. So you could have just outrolled the number of SDC you gave yourself. Now, yes, I know they start with like 20 or whatever it is, but that could dang near kill you.
Yeah. So it better be good, right? And it is. Also, the damage cannot be healed by any means less than surgery at minus 15% or magic/psionics. Until such a healing process is performed, none of the damage will be repaired. You cannot heal normally. You cannot, until magic or surgery or psionics are done on you. Such is the pain that doesn't make any sense by the spell, that until the damage is healed, the target will suffer the following penalties: -5 to initiative, strike, parry, roll, and dodge, and -25% to all skills. This is a single fight game changer. You do this on the tank, he's no longer tanking. His skills are all crap. His 2-hit is all crap. His dodge is all crap. His strike is all crap. And he is taking damage every couple of seconds.
That's absolutely, and that's a 7th level spell. That's devastating. I mean, to be fair, I like every aspect of it, but I think that the damage should come from the number of actions from the caster, not from the target. That's my only issue.
I get it. And you know what? It doesn't differentiate that in the description, so you can easily adjudicate that. Easily so. And then we have superior blood armor, which does a lot more damage and gives you 15 MDC per level. But it only lasts 1 minute per level of the caster. Again, I don't see that as being viable. Let's go on to the last of the spells. Let's see. Create Blood Golem. This one exists until destroyed. But it costs 1d10 times 10 plus 40 damage to caster. Guess what? The caster's not taking that damage. No, you're gonna cut a whole bunch of folk to get this PPE. I'm sorry, man.
I'm only asking for pedantry's sake. When it says damage to caster, can that include a surrogate?
No, it's either damage to caster or you use the rules for blood ceremony in the OCC itself.
So that's how it can be transferred to a surrogate.
Yes.
Okay.
Or just you're not transferring, you're just cutting you're cutting the surrogate.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
It costs 600 PPE. You're gonna have to kill a lot of folk to get this done. But what do you get for it? Let's find out. When the blood is splashed, the blah blah blah. In a matter of seconds, a creature made of pure blood with glowing rubies for eyes and an iron heart buried within its form begins to rise up. Spells and psionics designed to work against human physiology, except for other blood magic, are useless against the golem. This means that charm, sleep, biomanipulation, illusions, paralysis, whatever, doesn't work. That's normal golem stuff. Turn undead, banishment, negation, and remove curse are likewise useless. That's not normal golem stuff. Physical attacks and energy magic, even explosives, hurt the creature but only do half damage.
Wow.
Here's your blood golem. Blood for the blood god, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's just icky. I'm going with that word from the beginning.
Icky. Okay, yeah. It cannot speak or understand complex commands. It's like an emotionless robot. Let's see what it is. Horror factor 16. I get that.
Pish posh.
I get it. IQ of 6, physical strength 22, speed 14. It's 6 to 20 feet tall, depending on how you made it. 5 attacks per melee, 1d4 mega damage or SDC per punch, plus any bonuses if you're in SDC world for a physical strength of 22, which I think is like 5 or 6. No bonuses to parry, dodge, or initiative. Impervious to most psychic and magical attacks. Magic energy attacks and normal weapons will only do half damage. Impervious to normal and magical fire. MDC 30. Regenerates completely within 24 hours unless the iron heart is removed from the body. You know what? As far as golems go, this thing still sucks.
Well, it has a use case. You're not going to send it against the crazy, the juicer, the Borg, but it'd be great to take out the leyline walker.
The leyline walker or the mystic or psychic. Yeah. It would be that. It would be good for that. But as far as my take on this is, it's niche.
Yeah,
it's interest. It would be interesting to role play as an NPC, but if any real player character decides to take this, they're just stupid.
I wanted to like this. But there are 3 things that just like
It's just too hamstrung. It is too hamstrung, and nope, can't do it. Can't do it. But that is the OCC of the Blood Shaman, in my opinion on it. Now, in a Wormwood campaign, having the plus 50 or plus 100% damage, range, and duration for your spells, even though you got to cut yourself or somebody else to do it, then it may be an acceptable OCC. But anywhere else, I got to give it a pass. So what do we have for?
All right. Well, Kokushuko says Wormwood is infested with demons, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if this came about in Wormwood in a place like that, I get it. I get how it came about. I get it.
I wanted to comment on this one. So level 10, wow, I've been playing for ages and have yet to have any character get past level 8. The campaign tends to fold before they get any higher in level.
Yep. That my highest Palladium character was level 8 or 9. Yep.
But there's also one other caveat to this, and I don't agree with what I'm about to say, but I see it. People don't understand that you're supposed to level through 1, 2, 3 kind of quickly, and then it's supposed to slow down. It's supposed to take years, or depending on your campaign, to get from like level 7 to 8. People like, no, I should be leveling every few times I play. No. First of all, Palladium characters are front loaded, and number 2, if you're following the XP chart, you get what maximum thing on there is for like defeating a major boss, if I remember correctly. That's 1,400 XP or something like that. So let's say 1,000. Maybe per session you're getting 1,500 per session. And if you have to get 100,000 to get to the next level, you're not supposed to hand wave that stuff. You're supposed to let it take that long. Stop sitting there and playing it like it's a video game. Ding! I got to get my next level. Got to get my next level. Got to get my next level. Yeah. These characters are too front loaded.
Exactly. Palladium is built for the characters to be almost as powerful as they're going to be at level 1. It was supposed to be so you didn't worry about leveling.
Yeah.
You didn't worry about it. But when
you could fight everything in the game at level 1.
Yeah, but when you did, you get new skills, you get new spells, you get all that stuff that accentuates what you are, but it's not something worth crying about that you don't get it every other day or every week or every month or whatever. It's not that much of a difference.
Right. Yep. So that's cool that you've been playing for years and got to level 8. I think that's awesome, dude.
And it looks like you've been playing correctly. So there you go.
So Crafting Gamer says, I read this like if you bleed somebody, you get that PPE. Then if you kill that person, you get his initial PPE doubled. That's kind of how I read it as well. But I see the discrepancy that you were pointing out. It's that paragraph thing.
Yeah, you can choose as game master to adjudicate it how you want, but having read it myself and gone on the forums to see other people's opinion, I believe it works the weaker way.
Okay. Now I'm going to pop 3 comments up in a row because they all basically said the same thing, and then I'm going to explain to them why they're wrong.
Okay.
The more you move, the faster poison blood moves through your body. Okay. I see corrosive blood doing damage to the victim's action because the victim is active. The more active he is, the more damage he takes. Okay. And one more. I would agree that the actions of the fighter moving around would move acidic blood through his body faster, doing more damage. I can see what Heathen Dog said is correct. And here's why you're all wrong. Does your movement rate change?
No.
If I'm sprinting, does it matter if I have 7 actions per round or 2 actions per round? No. Am I not moving my entire body at its full capability of moving when I sprint?
You are absolutely correct. Now, I will counter that argument. Now, his argument is valid. You will move the exact same distance as your movement rate, no matter if you have 1 action or 20 actions in a round. We've already covered this.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a little dumb? Yeah, but it's the way it is. But as a counter argument to that, I would say the number of actions you have does not necessarily determine your movement speed, because it doesn't, but it does determine how quickly you can move your body. The quicker you move your body, as in left, right, up, down, stuff like that, the more your body pumps the poison blood or acid blood all around. I can see that. I can see that as an understanding of why, you know, it affects people with more actions per round more than it does with people with less actions per round.
When you're moving and because when you sprint, you can't take any other action. That's all you can do is sprint.
Yep.
So if you are moving at a sprint and you have 2 actions per round versus somebody who's moving at a sprint that has 7 actions per round, can't do anything else, and it says you use up all your actions at the end of the round, I fail to see how the person who, and let's even go one step further. Let's make this really cartoonish. The person with 2 actions per round has a speed of 20, where the person with 7 actions per round has a speed of 10. Okay, so we won't even add distance into this. Who's moving farther? Because who cares? You're literally just using up all your action to do it. I fail to see how that person is inherently, well, he just used more actions. People can try to justify it how they want. The rules aren't wrong. The rule is bad. It's a bad rule. It should
the whole
be.
Movement thing is bad. Yeah.
It should be based on the blood shot, whatever the hell he's called. It should be based on his actions, also for just the consistency of use. If I have 5 actions per round, every time I use the spell, it does 5 actions worth of poison. But I just think it's a bad rule for the shaman.
Now, I see here. I'll tell you the reason why. I'll tell you the reason why it's written that way. It is just for balance sake. Here's why. True. Yeah. Here's absolutely why. Because normally people with less actions per round have less hit points. People with more actions per round have more hit points.
Okay.
In Palladium, that's normally how it is. Warrior classes have more actions per round and have more hit points. Wizard, psychic, and vagabond and like, you know, kid classes, whatever, have less actions per round and generally less hit points. So it's not going to immediately kill a spellcaster, and it's not going to immediately kill a fighter, but both of them are going to be in grave danger. I think
and this observation is only partially true. They process oxygen faster.
They also do move blood. You know, each pump of the heart, while slower, does move more blood.
That's why I said it's partially true.
Yeah, partially true. Right.
So ultimately, here's the thing. I mean, I don't care how people play it at their table. I just personally think that is a bad rule. It adds inconsistencies in there that don't need to be there. Or how many attacks you got? I will always fall back on the whole sprint/run thing, saying don't act like, you know, just because my stepdad doesn't have 7 actions per round and he's not fast doesn't mean he's not giving it his all as he's running. I'm not, you know. It gets into a weird place.
It is a legitimate argument. Yeah. And again, I went on the forums to try and find out a definitive answer, and all I got was, you know, the majority.
No, I think the definitive answer is what everybody's been saying. I mean, you read it in here, the number of actions that the target has. I mean, that's how I read it. I just think that's a bad rule. So
yeah, I agree.
All right.
Is that it?
That is it. And you got what are you talking about next? Because you got an awesome one next. I can't wait for this next one.
Next is the techno-wizard extravaganza. It is the majority of this book. I believe someone in chat said it was 44% of this book is dedicated to this section only. So if you thought this video was long, oh my God, you're in for a minute, because the techno-wizard thing is going to be even longer.
And he's covering every single word of it.
Every single word. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I hope to see you then.